somebody gonna include me?
So I'm going to have you come over here to the right-hand side.
Come back where you are.
That's okay.
Ready? Good afternoon. I'm Deputy Fire Chief Scott Ridenauer, Joint Base San Antonio Fire Emergency Services. I'm here to give you an update on the Camp Bullis fire. I have a prepared statement. First, we're pleased to report we are currently at 50% containment of the fire. The evacuations that took place north of Camp Bullis in Comal County have been lifted. The officials in Comal County are working to notify the residents of this ban being lifted. We still ask all the surrounding community residents to monitor news outlets and your local fire department social media sites for continued updates on the progression of the fire, as this does remain a fluid situation. Our crews from Joint Base San Antonio, as well as the Department of Leon Springs, San Antonio, Bear County, Bear Boverde, Bear Spring Branch, Chavano Park, and Canyon Lake have all been working around the clock since 2:30 yesterday afternoon to get this fire contained. These dedicated professionals are tireless, and we owe them our gratitude, as their hard work is paying off as they continue to battle this fire the past 24 hours. We also like to thank Texas Forest Service, the Texas Interstate Fire Mutual Aid System, Bear County Office of Emergency Management, and the Texas Division of Emergency Management and Texas A&M University for the help and assistance in battling this fire. As of right now, we estimate the fire at 2,800 acres that have burned so far. Not the 4,000 that was given last night. As of this morning, we were able to get sign of light and use GPS systems to measure the area around the fire line, and we're able to get a more accurate site picture of the amount of acreage burned. So far, there's been no injuries, and no occupied structures or buildings have been damaged. Our service members on the site have all been moved to safe locations, and we continue to investigate the fire cause, and we will release that information once we've determined that in a couple weeks. We'll take questions.
I know that the demolition ordinance, that's kind of where this happened. Why was that going on when there's these fire danger extremes right now?
You want to take that, sir?
So my name is Lieutenant Colonel Clemente Barrios. I'm the Emergency Operations Center Director. So there's certain safety precautions that we take when we authorize certain demolitions to be taken. So those processes were taken. So what they were used was what was being used out there was authorized at this time. It was authorized. Yes, ma'am.
What exactly were y'all conducting out there that was authorized?
So it was a training evolution, a training mission that we're conducting out there. We're still investigating the source of the fire, and that investigation itself could take several weeks to occur.
You gotta give us more description of what that training is, that evolution you were discussing?
At this point in time, we can tell you that the source of the fire happened during a training evolution that was being conducted on the field.
But you can't get exact details of what that training evolution is.
So while the investigation is ongoing, ma'am, we don't want to speculate anything to it. So once we get further information on that and we can make a decision, we can find out the exact source, we don't want to speculate or assume anything.
Do we know how many people had to be evacuated in Comal County?
Do we know?
Our estimate was the housing units, approximately 5 streets just north of Camp Bullis. The estimate we had last night was approximately 150 residents were notified.
And how many of those people went to the evacuation site?
Unknown. I don't think we have the number of who chose to evacuate and take the offer to Spring Branch Middle School.
In Medina County, they had a head count, so I feel like it would be something similar.
we'll follow up on that. Being it's Comal County, we didn't have that direct information coming back to us.
Another site available to these residents?
Can you repeat the question?
At any point, will there be another site available to residents, but now that the evacuations have been lifted, it's all good?
Right now, we're anticipating no further evacuations will be needed based on our current fire situation.
What else is being done to contain the fire right now?
Fire crews continue to work all edges, both the west and the east. We're utilizing the aircraft for airdrops. The training ranges are not as accessible as we would like to be, and so we're not placing firefighters on the ground, so we're using the aerial assets to drop water in to contain those areas. And then outside of those training sites on Camp Bullis, we're working fire lines to contain if the fire were to break out in those areas. As of right now, there is no anticipation that the fire is going to go outside of the Camp Bullis perimeter. We feel we have a very solid plan on keeping that containment within the camp itself.
I know things could change, but do you all have a hopeful goal of when this will be completely put out or completely contained?
The crews continue to work very hard. We're making a hard push on it today. We're subject to our weather conditions. This will probably be an ongoing operation for at least another 24, 48 hours before we can assess how much further we'll need.
I know about 10, 11 years ago, the same situation kind of happened out here. There was a fire around Camp Bullis, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I was told again it was also a demolition range. Are there fire lines out on these training areas?
Yes, we have fire lines throughout Camp Bullis. These situations where we have these larger fires, it's usually weather. We're at the mercy of the weather. So these higher winds just carry past those fire breaks, even though they're being maintained. So we're just subject to the weather and the patterns that go with it. And we're currently dry.
Happen at this time of the year because of the weather and the wind, these types of fires? Do you expect it to be common?
Every day is assessed. They assess red flag conditions, and proper training sites are shut down when needed. It just depends on the current weather patterns and the training sites that are being utilized.
Is the no-burn ban still in effect?
That's a daily change based on your current conditions.
So my understanding is you're utilizing only airdrops in the training area and then have firefighters on the ground outside of the training area?
Correct. There's the munition areas and the demolition, that type of sites. Those have hazards associated with it, so we don't want to put our firefighters in direct contact on there. So we try to let the fire burn in certain areas, and then we work around the outer perimeter of that to keep it contained.
So you guys have a lot of different agencies out here. Any idea how many firefighters are actually on the ground?
Our last estimate, do we have an exact count today?
80 firefighters then.
80 firefighters, I believe, today.
No injuries to people, no structure damage. Were there any animals that you guys know of that might have been injured or hurt throughout this?
Does anybody have a?
Not that we know of.
The people that are working out, like in the park, are they in any danger of breathing the smoke? Is there any precautions for the surrounding areas?
Well, the smoke will be based on weather patterns and the wind, so we continue to monitor that. That was one of the reasons why we placed the evacuation order yesterday for the residents north of Camp Bullis. We look at those precautions and we address those as we feel needed based on working with our outside partnerships with the local communities.
Can you describe what firefighters is it a lot of burned areas at this point?
We have a few areas that still have active burning. The other areas are that we're calling contained or burned the black. So we still have some smoldering from trees and other vegetation that might be occurring, but is not considered to be in a harm's way. Even with the wind conditions, it's contained. You're going to see smoke for the next several days just because of the vegetation that did burn. You have a lot of trees and logs that are down that are going to continue to smoke and smolder. So there will be conditions of smoke in the area. If you have a health hazard, we ask you to remain indoors, limit your outdoor activities, at least in the immediate area, especially if you're downwind.
Since this was a training area, are there any other fuels that are being burned besides just vegetation?
No, not that we are aware of. It's a vegetated site, so it's your standard Texas natural resources.
So would you guys say, compared to Medina County's fire that happened a week or so ago, this one seemed to move quicker? Would you say that would probably be because it was a training area and because of the vast size of the area?
I think it's more related to your weather and your vegetation. We're probably a little bit drier. Another week and a half of no rain. So that contributes. There's multiple factors to that.
The winds were a lot stronger yesterday than they were at the point that the Dos Goat fire made its big run. So the weather's the main factor in the differences.
We'll take a few more questions. Any closing statements, gentlemen?
No, ma'am.
Who else is being joined by you? I see a lot of gentlemen up there, but you're the only one speaking.
So we can do a quick round of introduction, absolutely. So my name is Lieutenant Colonel Clemente Barrios, so I'm 902nd Civil Engineer Squadron Commander, as well as Emergency Operations Center Director.
I'm James Wedstead.
Sure. You want me to say that again, or? So my name is Lieutenant Colonel Clemente Barrios. I'm 902nd Civil Engineer Squadron Commander, as well as the Emergency Operations Center Director.
James Wedstead. I'm a public information officer for the Texas Forest Service.
Jamon McFadden, I'm the Camp Bullis range officer.
My name is Stephen Gonzalez. I'm the Range Operations Officer for the Army Support Activity here on Camp Bullis.
My name is Colton Goss. I'm an Emergency Management Specialist with Bexar County Emergency Management.
Follow-up questions for our subject matter experts? Thank you all for attending today.
Thank you all for coming out here and sweating it out. Here, I'll take that. Thank you.
I didn't want to put it on the ground.
You're fine.
Any other information other than what we're pushing out to you?
At this time, no, because it seems like weather is a factor in all of this. Anything that we can get with numbers as you guys have your time hacks coming in as far as the reporting back, I'm not sure. Once we get to 60% contained, probably, or maybe even 75%, that would be great. Have that information pushed out.
And I push all that information